Hello and welcome to another live broadcast with your favorite crazy hockey personality, number 2 behind Don Cherry, I think. So, my name is Jason. If you've never been here before, I'm the founder of Train 2.0. I think it looks better with the lights back there, so get the lights on. I've got a curtain on the way, be here in a few months. So I'm here because I want to help players who are very hardworking, very committed, but didn't learn the magic formulas, the magic mechanics, and hockey hypnosis of the hockey wizards. And my goal, or the reason, is because I was very committed, I was very dedicated, I didn't achieve my goal of playing in the NHL, and that was not due to hard work, it wasn't due to commitment, and frankly, I'd like to prevent that from happening to the committed, to the hardworking, to the focused, to the smart players. So that is why Train 2.0 exists. That is my mission. Today at 5 p.m. Pacific, I will be going live with my members to talk about how to create bow-leggedness artificially to make yourself a good skater. And today I'm going to talk about, I've talked about this lots before, I like to repeat myself, but the 80-20 principle, the idea that, the law of nature that you get 80% of your improvements from 20% of the things that you're doing. You know, if you are, you're getting 20% or 80% of your results from 20% of the things that you're doing. So this is a law, and it goes even further. Okay, so if you are training for hockey, literally 80% of what's happening, your improvements come from 20% of your drills. My goal is to distill what that 20% is, and I go see if I can go even further, see if I can get to 4%, the 4% that makes 64% of your improvements. And what I've been finding with the players I'm working with is that, yes, not that this is like some mystery, but 80% of improvements can come from a focused 20%. So I mostly think, despite being a kinesiologist, despite being a strength and conditioning coach, that most strength and conditioning is of the, I think strength and conditioning is frankly not 80-20. Most strength and conditioning is like 5 and 95. Okay, so here's the thing. I love strength and conditioning coaches. I was a strength and conditioning coach. I have tons of friends who are strength and conditioning coaches. But sometimes, you need to justify why you exist. So if really it only takes 15 minutes to get what needs to get done, but you have an hour to keep up, you're going to do a whole bunch of things. Now, my thought is that there's only 2 exercises that you need to do to achieve 80% of the results. I'm not saying that there's only 2 exercises to do, period. I'm saying there's 2 exercises that can achieve 80% of your results. What are those 2 exercises? I'll tell you tonight when you're in the members webinar. Yes, sorry that you're not awake at 5 p.m. Pacific, and it will be saved in the members area. Thanks for answering that, Aaron. So what are those? Maybe I'll give you a little sneak peek. So it's the idea of this, right? I have seen some fantastic strength and conditioning coaches, some fantastic exercises that are doing nothing for a hockey player. What might be why would we want to do anything in the gym at all? There's obviously the reason for gaining weight and muscle and then overall strength. Okay, if that's the case, there's a protocol for that. Okay, that might be more than 2 exercises. You'll probably need a few more exercises. But if it's to learn the magic mechanics, and I had a really interesting talk the other day with one of my members or subscribers, and the interesting talk was this: when you see a first overall draft pick, they usually come in with bow legs, really big legs and butts, but they're still skinny up here because they're 17, 18. Right? And then their first thing they're told is, they got to put on 15, 20 pounds, and then they start to bulk up through here. I mean, you see that with Crosby. You see that with, I don't know. You guys tell me who else you saw that with. But, I mean, I really noticed that with Crosby. He came in with these huge legs, not the biggest upper body, but now you see him, he's pretty thick. Right? So what might this suggest? That might suggest that if you're trying to, oh, great question. One-on-one coaching call tomorrow is 15 minutes for you and I. So that's to start. So when you see like the first overall, they don't come in thick like this, right? When I was 17, 18, I was fairly thick, fairly strong. I probably went to strength and conditioning a little too early. But is there 2 exercises that you could do that would directly translate to your magic mechanics? So my thesis is this. This is my idea. Of course, there's no way to prove these things. But here's the idea. My thought is if you dial in the magic mechanics first, then as you transition into the NHL, into more roles in the NHL, then you want to add the mass. If you're going too early into, and I'm not saying you can't go and build the mass. What I'm saying is the focus, the 80-20, is focused on the magic mechanics. So that's why I say the 80-20 exercises, the 2 exercises that we'll discuss, focus on developing the magic mechanics. Okay, and I'll give you a hint. The 2 are using your heels for pressure. Okay, that's one. The other one is a shot mechanic. Those are the 2. There's a lot of things that aren't in there. Bench press, deadlifts, power cleans, tons, because they don't need to be. That's part of the 80%. That's part of the 90%. So I'm not saying, again, those aren't useful. What I'm saying is they're part of the 90%. It's an interesting thought experiment to do 80-20. Okay, I am going to be filming these exercises for my members. We're going to be discussing tonight bow-leggedness, creating artificial bow-leggedness to become a better skater, or becoming a better skater to become bow-legged. I'm not sure. You better ask some questions real quick, because I'm going to run. So if you got any questions, fire them off before I run. As usual, I'm going to grab a glass of water. So you might want to ask your questions now, because I'm going to take off. Oh, protein, that. So my idea, uzumaki, hanas, is that how do I do with the pronunciation? So basically, so here's interesting thing. I go look on my Google comments for my McDavid video, and there's like a lot of negative, like you're an idiot, and I might be, right. I might be out of my mind, but I wouldn't want to be on the other side of it if I was right. That's just my thing. And there was like no difference between I was 100% right and I was 100% wrong. I think there was no. I don't think there was anyone in the middle. It was like 100% right, 100% wrong. So 80-20 means 80-20, right? So 20% covers 80% of what you need. So my idea is not that 2 exercises can cover everything. My idea is that 2 exercises can cover 80%. I'm suggesting it might even be closer to 90-10 or 5-95. I'm not suggesting it can cover everything, right? Don't be part of that absolute group. The absurd absolute, as Scott Adams says, is a tell for cognitive dissonance. Uzumaki Hannes, I know you agree. Thank you. I'm not disagreeing with you. What I'm just explaining is don't think in terms of if you're going to be a student of the game. Don't think in terms of absolutes. That's for the whack jobs in the comment section. So think in terms of percentages, in terms of probabilities, in terms of likelihoods. So 80-20, two exercises in the gym can cover most things. I might amend that. I don't know. Maybe it gets to 4 exercises. Maybe it goes down to 1. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Aaron, do I think runway models hip scissor well? That's funny. That's what I was laughing at earlier. They move their hips well. An interesting thought was I was never very good at skating in a straight line and then transitioning into a shot. I could shoot pretty hard in one spot because that's what I practiced in my garage, and I could skate really fast. Like I said in my, I think last or two talks ago, I could beat NHLers in a straight line race. Speed wasn't an issue. And one of the issues, though, was transitioning from forward skating to the shot. And so the finisher's formula is one part of that. And then I was playing around on the ice a few days ago, realizing that there's other aspects. There's kind of more, if the finisher's formula is here, there's some stuff underneath it that needs to be created. So that will be created. And so that comes down to these hip movements. And so where I was going with that, Aaron, was do runway models hip scissor well? I don't think they're hip scissoring, but they have great motion through their hips. The Wizards have very good motion through their hips because I was able to finally figure out what that movement was, what that movement I was missing was. And I'm telling you, all the cone and stick handling drills I didn't fix that. So it's these hidden hip movements. That's going to go into like version 0.9.2, let's say. So, do you need to practice at the gym, big weight for 16-year-old midget, AAA player? Sorry for your English. That depends where you are, right? Let's say you are Connor McDavid and you've mastered the magic mechanics at 16. Then it might be time to start training at the gym and lifting heavy weights. Let's say that you have not mastered the magic mechanics, you haven't mastered that stuff, then your focus should be there, right? Again, I look at first overall draft picks, and you look at them and they're not overly physically developed usually, but they have something. What is that something? Magic mechanics, that's what they are, okay? So, depends where you're at. I would say because here's the thing, if you're training with big, heavy weights, it takes a lot of energy, both mentally and physically to do. Take that energy and focus on learning the magic mechanics. That takes time, takes energy. So go put it there. That's what I'd suggest. And if you are Connor McDavid at 16, yeah, go lift all the weight you want. You probably can't screw it up. You probably go run Tough Mudders or something. I don't know. You'd probably be fine. Like, we could see Connor McDavid doing Tough Mudders in the spring, and he'll be okay. He'll still be a good hockey player. I wouldn't recommend that to everyone, but he'll be fine. The thought comes from how much flow they seem to have and overall glide down the runway. Yes. So Aaron is asking again about the hip scissor, and yes, so back to my question, and is that it's through control through the hips is leads to this glide. And people were like, I remember, I did my best to be smooth on the ice, but people would describe me as like choppy and very linear. And you see those players, they're very straightforward, and this, and then this, and then this, and there's no glide or smoothness in between them, and it's because they don't transition with their hips. They're locked in with their hips, and they can't continue to give that pressure into the ice. So, hope that makes sense, Aaron. And Slava, cheers. This is vodka from Russia. Good night, Uzumaki. We'll chat tomorrow. Surely your strength and power generation through your legs, which of course equates somewhat to speed, must be developed when hitting ages 16, 17, 18. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, here's the thing is you can get that. I agree with you. And so here's the thing though, is great quote. Just a second. Let me find, where's my phone? Okay. Here it is. Interesting thought. So, I was learning today about the Wright brothers, and they made aeroplanes. The aeroplane, the Kitty Hawk, right? The first men to take flight or whatever. So, interestingly, I didn't realize this, but there's a guy beforehand who I can't remember his name, but he essentially he was using taxpayers' dollars to also create a flying machine, an aeroplane, so to speak. And his focus was on developing a more powerful engine, the most powerful engine, in fact, like the most advanced, powerful engine. Interesting, I thought. Because the next thing was he failed horribly, FYI. Wilbur and Orville Wright, meanwhile, had a completely different approach. They built a glider that would glide from a hilltop with no engine at all. They focused their energy on balance and steering. Power was almost an afterthought. Only after the glider worked by itself would they try to put an engine on it. So they built this machine that had the right balance and grace, and then they were able to strap like a 180-pound, 12-horsepower motor on it, and the thing flew. Right? So I'm not saying that you should not train strength. I think if you looked at Connor McDavid at 16, he was likely strength training, and strength training is good for the most part. I come at it from this perspective of, I thought strength training was the be-all, end-all. I did that first, but I didn't have the mechanics dialed in. I didn't have the resources to learn the mechanics, and I didn't naturally inherit them. So I was kind of stuck, right? So what I'm suggesting is that you should, of course, build your base of strength and your power. but it's useless without that balance and poise and rhythm. And when you have the magic mechanics, when you're using your heels and your hips properly, the amount of power you need and the amount of strength you need goes down like incredibly. Like, I gotta tell you how much. Like, I could squat a lot. I was always top on my team for squat, deadlift, and I wasn't the heaviest, so I had the highest relative strength. But the amount of tension I put into the ice, once I've learned the magic mechanics, I've literally reduced it by a factor of 10. I can relax way more and get way more out of my movement. So, yeah, so it's not like an either or. So I agree with you, Ross, and I'm not disagreeing with you either. I'm just saying it's not an either or. This is where people get like a little like, I put these clickbait headlines on my YouTube stuff, and people get mixed up on these either or things, when the answer is usually an it depends, right? Everyone knows, you talk to any expert in any field, you try and ask them a straight question, they say, well, it depends, because they understand the context behind it. So I agree that they should be developing power through their legs at those ages. There's probably a peak, a critical window where they're going to have lots of testosterone release, and it's a good time to get there. I would just go mechanics first, put always that priority one. Then when that happens, you can up the strength conditioning, but you can always do them at the same time. Who is the most mechanically perfect player in the league? I always I don't know. That's always a tough one. I mean, I don't really it's tough for me to. It's interesting because people are like, oh, do you watch the NHL? I don't watch the NHL. Do I simply wouldn't. I'd explode with details of trying to keep track of everything, because I'll watch one player really, 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 really deeply. And so I get people suggesting to me, oh, look at this player, look at that player. And I don't even appreciate how, a whole whack of players in the NHL have phenomenal mechanics. So if I were to answer that question, I'd be I'd be missing a lot. I couldn't answer it very well, because I study deeply a few, but I'm very likely missing. I'm literally missing 98% of the NHL. So it would be very hard for me to say. Crosby or McDavid, I don't know. It's tough to say. Different mechanics. They do different things. I've heard Crosby's nickname in the NHL is the Creature because his legs are so strange, which makes sense. It makes sense with the whole bow-legged mechanical advantage idea that has recently come to light. An interesting thing, remember, we're going to be talking about that tonight in the members webinar, is very interestingly, as I've focused on this bow-legged thing, as I've found these key exercises, as I've applied it to the ice, my hips, especially my left hip, has opened up in this whole new way, because I think my whole life I essentially skated wrong. And I was known as a good skater, but there's the I'm gonna have to come up with a good term for this. Any suggestion? What was I gonna say? Don't remember. But if someone wants to remind me, let me rephrase. Who are your most watched players from your perspective, and who do I always analyze? See, now again, this isn't a great question either, because not a great. It's good. It's a very good question, but it's tough for me to answer again because I'm going for views and headlines on YouTube. And so, so everyone, just be honest, right? Everyone loves Connor McDavid. Like, I make a Kane video and it does not have the same bite as Connor McDavid. I don't know why. So, or maybe I just haven't done a good enough job with Kane, or maybe it's like too flooded. So I will go and even though Kovalchuk has amazing mechanics, if I were to do something like that, it wouldn't be as hot in the headlines. So I'm not going to do it. And that's kind of like me. I'm just being honest. Like that's kind of how I choose my guys is who is going to attract the views, but then who also has the mechanics. So if I were to give you that answer, it would be highly biased towards who is going to be getting the most views. Well, here, no, Kane does do very well. He is a wizard. What I'm saying is like I actually think Kane, like the Kane YouTube market is flooded. So if I go and put a Kane video out there, it because everyone does the Kane stick handling challenge or all these GoPro videos of him, so I try and like hammer my video in there, and it doesn't work. So, again, Kane was a guy, and Datsuk. I'm at Rogers Arena in Vancouver, like staring at them, and everyone's getting pictures, and all the full Asians are getting their pictures, and I'm the half Asian. I'm still got with my picture, but I'm studying and with my iPhone and I'm doing that and just intently watching these guys and getting videos so I can dissect it later. And Kane was a guy who I just didn't get for a long time. I didn't get his mechanics for a long time. It took a long time to figure them out because they're so different. And but he is absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. So he is definitely a wizard. It's just that I haven't figured out a way to position him in YouTube yet. So Kane for sure. His mechanics are very different. I mean, here's the thing: is basically every NHL player has magic mechanics. What's differentiating them is who's using their magic formulas better, and who's positioned themselves in their coach's eyes to use their magic mechanics better. So I mean, I look at a lot of these guys, and they all have it. Like someone told me to look at Duchesne the other day, and I was like, holy! Like I didn't really think Matt Duchesne was that good. I mean, I don't hear about him in Colorado the way you hear about McDavid or Crosby, but you're like, holy, like this guy's good. And I've seen McKinnon before, and so I'm missing a whole bunch. My answer would not be very just the guys who you see YouTube videos on are the guys who I've mostly really in-depth studied, and it's a combination of who's exhibiting the traits I'm trying to demonstrate and how would that headline work. So that's my poor answer. I'm missing 98% of the NHL. Daniel is saying, Silky Mittens is saying, did an observational study on montage of breakaways and variables that most likely lead to breakaways are lost coverage, pinching, and breakouts, passes to the open man, more so than turnovers and speed and line changes. Sounds right to me. Do you have numbers to back that up? One of the interesting things was, so I'll tell you how I did when I did the Patrick Kane, how to score like Patrick Kane, was I went through all his goals, every single one of his goals, and I tried to find themes of things he was doing, and I actually wrote it out, and it was not quite 80-20, but it was I could account for those 3 or 4 things I mentioned. So blind spot, critical event, anticipation, and then hiding your shot, and stick handle. For those three things, accounted for about 75% of the goals. So that's how I did my 80-20 analysis, and so I actually kind of checked the numbers on that. So if that's the case, Dan, I'd trust your data a lot. So if you kind of took that, if you got a bit of data to remove a little bit of the bias, or just to take another look at the bias, then that I'm sure it's an accurate thing to look at. And it seems to make sense because it would be like unexpected. Like a lost coverage is kind of like a mental breakdown, right? So, I don't know. It's interesting. Great question here, Ross. Really good question. So the question is, do you feel that for every player that their magic mechanics are unique to that player? Do you not find it hard to almost standardize these mechanics? Yes. They are unique to each player. For example, Crosby, with his bow-leggedness and short femurs, it looks like, is going to be very well suited to his open hippie type movements to puck protect, right? And to be able to just scooch his hips around when someone's, hammering him. You look at like Ovechkin, he's 6'3", and 240, and has a rocket of a shot on him, and is pretty fast. When I see Ovechkin, though, I don't see a lot of the advanced hip maneuvers that a Crosby or McDavid have. So I'm not sure if I'm answering your question here. I think, yeah, I mean, they are unique to every player, but I haven't yet. One's body type might lean them towards a certain type of magic mechanic, or to be stronger in one of the mechanics than the other. And that said, I don't think there's anything preventing someone from learning all of them. So, does McDavid have as hard of a shot as Ovechkin? No. Does Ovechkin, has he mastered those mechanics better? Yes, and he's taller. Could McDavid learn those principles? Yes, right? Crosby's puck protection mechanics are something that he learned well, and this I was kind of talking about this a few days ago about the bow-leggedness. The bow-leggedness is kind of prevented Crosby from learning the drone way of skating. So the question is, how do I teach these two premiums? Okay. So yes, I do. So I do standardize because there are, like, I don't think I think anyone can learn anything. One of the most complete player. So, one of my followers gave me shit for not being thoughtful and diligent, and so I'm working on that here. But it's a good question. Erik Karlsson is probably, just from what I've seen, has the magic mechanics in the most things: skating, shooting, deking, passing. So there's kind of like him. It's tough to say with, because I don't know any forwards who have quite as. I'd have to look at Stamkos closer to see, because he's the other forward who's got a great shot and has, I'm guessing, very, very good mechanics. I need to look at that a little closer. I'm rambling here. But there's a baseline of magic mechanics that each NHLer has. Okay, so the baseline is this. They're pushing through their heels. They're using their hips. They have the same grip. They are using their top hand to generate leverage on the stick. They are doing habits every time they pick up a puck. They have a default mode for being deceptive. So the magicians, the wizards, these guys, there is a standard level, and then if you want to go above that standard level, so I'd say that just the standardized drills that I use, right, are to get you to that base level of wizardry, and I'm of course going to work on those higher levels, but it's that baseline level that's, like I said, most NHLers have magic mechanics, so they're there. That's my goal, to get you there. That's the goal right now. That's version 0.9.0. 0.1. We're at 0.1. And then to be a Carlson or a Crosby or a McDavid or an Ovechkin in one area, right? That's that next level. I hope I answered your question with a very long ramblingness. Other Dan is saying Carlson doesn't even train that much. No, because he probably finds he doesn't have to. He plays tennis. Ross, make sure. Ross, make sure I answered your question there, or refocus me, because I was doing my best to answer, but I'm a little all over the place. How exactly do you hide your release? I talk about that. Well, there's a few ways. One is with your footwork. One is with the rhythm of your stick handling. I go over exactly that I go over exactly how to hide your release, just like Kane does in the membership area in the NHL code. So I don't know if you're a member, Jacob Hockey 77, but if you are, it's in there. And yeah, it is scary that Carlson doesn't train very much. That's what the magic mechanics can do for you. So, hey, I'm sending out a email just real quick to my members here, because, like I said, I'm going live at 5 p.m. tonight to go over what I've been talking about for the last 4 or 5 days: artificial bow-leggedness, the 2 exercises, and then answering all the questions of my members. So what I'd suggest is, if you found this interesting, try it out. Free. So go to train2.0.com. The link is below. Train2.0.com/free training. Okay, that's going to get you in. You can try it for 7 days, free dash training. The link's down there. You can try it free for 7 days. I'd love to welcome you to the members webinar tonight, where I'm going to be standing up, walking around, doing exercises, answering questions with all my members. Full disclosure on everything. Is that the right way to use that term? I don't know. So I'd invite you all to that. I know I probably have a bunch of members on this one already, so I'm excited to see you there. Prepare your questions. It's going to be a fun one. My best yet. Your best yet. Hey, thank you guys very much, and appreciate you guys watching